Ready up and start preparing for another huge week in Pokemon Go, with a relevant raid hour, a rocket takeover, and a shadow raid day. This week is a very important one to be in the know for, so let's dive into those details. Starting the week off, on Monday the 27th, we're going to see the return of Dynamax Shuckle. Now boasting a ludicrous defense of 396, but a very poor attack in HP, Shuckle's going to have a very niche use. In some situations, it could be useful to stack 3 shields and stall, but its main weakness is the slow charging of the meter. I would say for most players, Regirock, Zamazenta and Blissey are still the tanks you should focus on. For some very advanced players, it could be useful, but overall, it's not essential. Also, remember, if you check into Campfire between 6 and 7 PM, and you complete the 2 max battles in Power 10, you're going to receive 800 free particles. It's free, you don't want to miss out on it. On Tuesday the 28th, once again we're going to have another showcase day. Here's a quick reminder of the 20 categories we can enter. And you're going to want to enter into 3 of these in the hopes of some premium items. I would still recommend trying to hop in at least 2 or 3 of these. Try to replenish some incubators after Riolu Hatch Day. It's going to take a while for us to build those back. But overall, there's plenty of rewards you can get. It would be a waste not to capitalise on free rewards. On Wednesday the 29th, Tapu Lele re-enters Raid Hour. The Hundo IVs you're going to be looking for are 1996 or 2496 in windy or cloudy weather. Now the best counters are generally steel types, so you're looking at the Crown Doggos, Duskmane Necrozma, or Shadow Metagross as your best options. Now, considering it's the 6th strongest Fairy raid counter, as long as it's given Nature's Madness, and the fact it does have some usability in Masters League, this isn't a raid hour you'll want to skip out on. And as always, remember to check into Campfire, and as long as you do the 2 raids, you'll earn yourself a free premium pass, and as long as you're not at the cap, you can also earn yourself some link charge. As well as raid hour, in terms of mega raids this week, your options are going to be Mega Sharpedo on Monday and Tuesday, and starting Wednesday onwards will be Mega Banette. So as has become the standard recently, on Thursday we're going to have PvP Thursdays between 12 and 11:59 PM. You're going to be able to get up to 4 times Stardust from win rewards, but this doesn't include the end of set rewards. The maximum number of sets increases from 5 to 10, so that's going to be a maximum of 10 battles. And as a quick reminder, you can encounter the following Pokemon once per season at the following rank. So at rank 1 it's going to be Pidgeot, rank 6 Pancham, Ace rank Togetic, Veteran rank Honedge, Expert rank Dreepy, and finally at Legend it gives Pikachu Libre. On Friday the 1st we get Trade Friday, which as I've mentioned before in my opinion is the best general day of the week. It's going to feature an additional special trade, an increased lucky chance per trade, 10% less Stardust trade cost for each trade. Additionally, there's going to be 2 guaranteed XL per trade for players level 31 or higher, which you can exploit for rarer Pokemon. As I've said previously, I'd recommend you keep rarer stuff that you catch throughout the week for this day. Or as another option, you could keep something that you maybe need 1 to finish the family of from an event that week. Or you can keep a few Comms Day stuff from last Comms Day. Myself, I'm personally keeping a few of the Tinkertank from the previous one, and I've been grinding through those each week, trying to finish that family off. But make sure you don't skip out on this day of trading. It's much more valuable than any other day of the week. So now moving on to the main features we have this week, we have 2 very exciting events to cover. Now first up, starting on Saturday the 2nd of May, 2 until 5, we have another huge raid day. This time it's going to be with one of the OG legendaries, and that's Shadow Entei. So if we start with the bonuses, they are going to be 5 additional raid passes from spins and stop. That's going to take you up to 6 for the day. There's going to be an increased shiny chance of Entei from shadow raids. I believe that could be 1 in 10. The remote raid limit will increase to 20 from Friday the 1st 5 PM until Saturday the 2nd 8 PM. As always, there is going to be an event ticket for the equivalent of $4.99, and that's going to give you an extra 8 passes, increased Candy XL from raids, 50% more XP from raids, and 2 times Stardust from raids. So if you are working on improving your raid teams, this is going to be a great addition. It is going to be essentially the best fire counter outside of Megas for your teams. I am going to do a follow-up video covering this in more detail. That's going to be later in the week, so stay tuned for that. Looking back in the week, starting on Tuesday, April the 28th at 10 AM and ending Monday the 4th, 8 PM, we've got the Steeled Resolve event kicking off. Orthworm, the Earthworm Pokemon, will make its Pokemon Go debut, and as a nice debut, it's also going to get the shiny form. In terms of bonuses for the event, the main bonus is that we're going to get a reduced wait time before opening the mystery box again during the event. What this essentially means is that we're going to get Meltan back, and it's going to be shiny eligible again. The key to catching Meltan is by getting the mystery box, which can be obtained by sending a Pokemon from Pokemon Go to Pokemon Home, or Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee games for the Switch. Once you have a mystery box and you activate it, you're going to be getting the Meltan spawning, similar to Incense, roughly every 30 to 45 seconds for 30 minutes. There will additionally be a Go Pass, but I'm going to cover that later on in the video at the same time as the Takeover event. In terms of event-themed spawns, the Pokemon you can encounter for this event are going to include Magnemite, Aron, Ferroseed, and more, and as a rare spawn, you're going to encounter Pawniard. In terms of raids, the following Pokemon will appear. So for 1-star raids, it's going to be Beldum, Shieldon, and Honedge. For 3-star raids, it's going to be Orthworm. And in terms of field research tasks, the following Pokemon will be available. I currently don't have the tasks themselves, but the Pokemon available will be Magnemite, Pineco, Nosepass, Bronzor, Drillbur, Ferroseed, Beldum, and Shieldon. Now, unfortunately, once again, they have locked a new Pokemon behind a paywall in terms of raiding, but I would make sure that you use at least one daily pass just to register it to your Pokedex. The main takeaway I'd give for this event is to grind for some Meltan Shiny or even a Hundo while you can, and bear in mind you can also save a few of these for remote trades just in case someone will want one. So now jumping to Thursday the 30th, we have one of my favourite reoccurring events, and that's the Rocket Takeover. So it's going to be from Thursday the 30th until Monday the 4th, and it's going to be the Steeled Resolved Taken Over event. So covering the bonuses, Team Rocket will appear more frequently at Pokestops and in balloons. So for balloons, you want to remember that's every 2 hours, so don't miss out on those. You're going to be able to use a Charge TM to remove frustration from Shadow Pokemon. So as always, you want to make sure that you save up Pokemon that you want to take frustration off for the next Takeover event. Pokemon Corp via 1-star and 3-star Shadow Raids during the event will have a bigger variation of stats. And finally, for the first time, Varoom in 12k eggs will be shiny possible. So that's a huge update. I don't typically hatch a lot of 12k eggs. I feel like the rewards typically aren't worth it, but I may start again with this update. In terms of the legendary that Giovanni can give us this time around is going to be Shadow Landorus Incarnate. It's going to be a solid ground Shadow legendary, but it isn't going to be better than Shadow Groudon, so bear in mind you're not getting the best of its type. And as always, we've got a new set of Shadows released into this rotation. So those are going to be Heloeptile, Dewpider, Morlul, and Stuffle. As always, Morlul gives more Stardust as well, so that's something to consider. Overall, it's nice when they add a new set of Shadows into the rotation, so it's something new for us to chase. In terms of eggs, the 12k pool during this event will give us Sandile, Vullaby, Pancham, Salandit, Shroodle, and the now shiny Varoom. So it's a slight improvement on the egg pool. I would still like to see maybe some changes to that egg pool, but we'll see what happens over time. Now, tasks during this event, if they are the same as previous takeovers, they're going to give a component for defeating a grunt, an encounter for defeating 3 grunts, a fast or charge TM for purifying 3 shadows, or an encounter for defeating a leader. It's worth bearing in mind from the 28th 10 AM until the 4th 8 PM, there is going to be a free Go Pass with daily point progression. In that free pass, there is going to be featured Pokemon encounters such as Beldum, Pawniard, Honedge, Meltan, and more, so it's clearly going to be a steel theme. It's also going to give a Super Rocket Radar and component/shadow shards for you to do some raids and more rocket leaders. However, if you reach tier 1, the reward's going to be 2 times catch candy, and for tier 2 you'll earn more Stardust for defeating grunts. Now, considering you already get 500 Stardust per grunt defeated, I think that's a great boost to grind towards early in the event. But if you can't, it's going to be unlimited progression points available between the 2nd and the 4th, 8 PM, so it's going to be easy for everyone to complete long term. As always, there will be a paid version of the pass for the equivalent of $4.99, or if you pay $6.99, there's going to be the Deluxe Pass plus 6 rank. The upgraded pass will include encounters for even more Steel Pokemon, another Super Rocket Radar, and more. But in my opinion, I would avoid this and instead just buy yourself the Entei ticket. So what are the main reasons you should grind this event? So firstly, as has been widely publicised, Scopely has added a shiny chance to every shadow you can get from a grunt. This means you've got more of a chance of a shiny shadow than during previous iterations. Secondly, your chances of a Shundo are increased with all the grunts being shiny eligible, and obviously the usual purifying buff to stats. So anything that's 13, 13, 13 plus you could purify to a Shundo if you chose. Additionally, when it comes to that, almost all the Pokemon from grunts aren't useful in raid teams or PvP, so you can purify most of them if they're in the Shundo territory, but just check if they are useful beforehand. Now for the hidden bonus that almost everyone I've spoken to either hasn't paid much attention to or hasn't considered, that's the Stardust implications.
What implication? The implication.
If we do some quick calculations, you normally get 500 dust for completing a rocket grunt and 1k for defeating a leader. However, if you get to tier 2 in the ticket, this is going to be doubled to 1000 dust per rocket and 2000 per leader. But if you use a star piece, this is going to be 1.5k for grunt and 3k per leader. Now, if you took an example of 100 grunts per day without a star piece, we're talking 100,000 dust per day, ignoring all of the leaders you're going to be able to do. However, if you make sure that you stack the component tasks, you're also going to be able to get up to 4 components per grunt completed. That's going to give you lots of shots at leaders very, very frequently. So as long as you've got enough stops to grind and find them on, you're going to be able to stack a lot of them. Now, an extra tip to maximize leader gains while hunting these is to make sure that just before your balloon appears every 2 hours, you already have a leader radar. So maybe in the period just before that, you go do a few rockets, wait for having a leader in the 2-hour intervals. Now, if you use this method, I fully believe most players can gain 100 to 200k dust per day without even using star pieces. It's up to you if you do want to use star pieces. The usefulness is mostly going to depend on how many rockets spawn at that point or how many stops you have around you. But I think the rockets will be spawning enough to probably make that worth it. But if you consider everything I've said so far, I really think that you could probably grind up to and even exceeding 1 million dust in just those 5 days. So for your own good, try and smash some rockets out and stack up some dust to power up your raid teams, your PvP teams, or whatever else you want to do with your dust. Also, as one last tip, for the people that need platinum medals to level up towards level 80, this is a great chance to work on your hero medal and to gain cheap purifiers for your purifier medal. Okay, that wraps up the events this week. I highly recommend you take part, even if you're not a fan of doing the rockets. I find the events super fun to grind, and you're going to get a lot of rewards for it. So as always, like and subscribe to help the channel out, and ensure you keep up to date on everything in Pokemon Go. If you want to watch more content from me, check either of the videos showing currently. Let me know what hundos you managed to find this takeover, and I'll see you in the next video, guys.